Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Kay Kritiques, where we discuss all things South African television. And in today's video, we are reviewing and recapping Law, Love and Betrayal, Season 1, Episode 5, titled The Thing Speaks for Itself. So as you guys already know, we usually discuss the major storyline on the latter half of the episode, and then we discuss the minor episodes to get them out of the way. But today, because the major storyline fits in with our minor storylines and I can't discuss them in isolation, we're going to be jumbling up storylines today and not having our concise review. So please do forgive me. I'm going to try my best to intertwine them where they intertwine. But without any further ado, let us get into it. So we see Fez coming back from an event in the morning. He was held up all through the night because one of the performers, DJ Lady D, actually died while she was performing, and he encourages Ayanda to take on the case where the husband wants to bury her in Joburg, but the family wants to take her to Limpopo. But now the problem is that they only married traditionally, so it has to be proven that they were actually married, that he actually paid lobola, and that the marriage was actually acknowledged. We see her working with Trevor on this case, and I'm just wondering, why does Trevor always take the lead? He's no longer at GNA. I don't think Ayanda needs another lawyer to be present with her. If you are a lawyer or you know any information about that, please do let me know. But why is it? Because even with the Mukwena land case, Trevor was the one taking the lead on the case. Ayanda actually wins the case because lobola and traditional wedding is acknowledged under the Customary Marriage Act, and it is a legal marriage. That's why Gatsha in the first episode had to pay Andile that amount of money, because he had paid him Vulamlomo. He had gone before he signed a prenup. So he was actually married in community of property without even realizing it. This is a thing, and I will say it once again. If you are planning on getting married, make sure you sign that anti-nuptial contract. Make sure that you sign the prenup before the lobola negotiations. And now the Legacy Paints case. You see a woman at the reception. She's waiting for Ayanda, and she's like, I need you to help me on this case. There's this company called Legacy Paints, and they're poisoning people on the river right where we live. Our water is now contaminated with their waste. Ayanda actually wanted the case. It is a huge case, and she had a pretty good chance of winning it. But we see Gatsha giving the case to Gugu, because Gugu is the one who deals with the human rights cases and stuff like that. But I think it's just a matter of Gatsha just doesn't like Ayanda, and I want to figure out why. Here Gatsha goes giving this case to Gugu, such a big case that Ayanda was already taking on, and Ayanda's the one who brought it to the firm, right? And she's not happy about it. And now over to this other side. So in the previous episode, Dineo had threatened that she's going to start talking if they don't pay her 30,000 rands, and Thabo doesn't have a plan. Thabo has no plan of action in order to fix this. So he's waiting for Gugu to be the one to fix this. And I will say this is going to become a point of contention, and I can already see it. And I did say it when they went to view that apartment, that Gugu is too much of the dominant figure in the relationship. At some point in time, she is going to get annoyed with Thabo's lack of action. Not necessarily that he has less money than her, but stuff like this. Okay, how do you plan on us paying Dineo this 30,000 rands? What's your plan? He doesn't have a plan. So she's like, oh, so I have to do everything. I'm the one who has to come up with a plan. I'm the one who has to fix this. And I feel like that is a recurring sentiment in this relationship. Even though we haven't seen it, we're seeing it now. The dynamics of this relationship. We find out that Dineo and Thabo actually swapped seats when Thabo was driving over the speed limit and he was drunk. And Dineo swapped seats with him and lied to the police that she was the one who was driving. Now, I don't think that would be the reason why she would be blackmailing them for 30,000 rands, because, okay, I was driving, I was drunk, we didn't get a ticket and you swapped with me because you were less drunk than me and we didn't get arrested. I don't think that's it unless something else happened. Here's what I think. Thabo was going over the speed limit and he was drunk, and I feel like they hit somebody and they did a hit and run, and the police almost caught them and Dintle and Thabo switched seats. If I'm wrong, but that's the only thing that makes sense to me right now. Nothing else makes sense to me, because drunk driving is such an insignificant, well, not insignificant because you can actually unalive somebody. Gugu was also in the car. How does this affect Gugu? Because we do see later in the episode how it will affect Gugu, and I'm thinking that in the previous episode Gugu was busy talking about, I've done some things in my past, could I ever be forgiven, and she was wrestling with that it has something to do with Dintle now. Now I'm actually even more confused on what's going on in the show. We see Dintle, Gugu and Thabo meeting up and they're talking, and Dintle is like, well, I owe Double D, the loan shark, 30,000 rands, and he's planning on adding 30% interest later, and you guys owe me because I saved you. And Gugu's like, no, have you forgotten that you agreed to swap seats with Thabo? We didn't force you to do it, we didn't coerce, you agreed. I asked you and you did it. Dintle's like, you guys owe me, do this or we're all going to jail. Thabo takes it upon himself to say, Dintle, I will take over your debt and I will pay your debt. Pay it with what, Thabo? What are you gonna use to pay this debt off? You don't have a stable income. You don't have that much money. Gugu just started working at the company. She just moved into an apartment. Now you're adding another 30,000 rands, because at the end of the day, Gugu's the one who's going to have to take on this responsibility because Thabo is going to fail to do it. Anyways, back to this case. So Gugu meets up with this journalist, Nogwanda, who comes over and they're talking about legacy paint. Nogwanda doesn't trust Gugu because she's like, this big law firm might be defending legacy case and you guys might be trying to bury the evidence, so I'm not going to give you my research. And she refuses to share because of GNA's rep. And I'm like, why did you even show up? Why not tell her over the phone that, listen, I don't want to share information because of the reputation of your law firm. You guys are sharks and I feel like you guys care more about profit than people, and I will not be sharing any information that could be detrimental to the community's case because I feel like you guys are representing legacy case. I like that now Gugu is in the mix of GNA, because if they have this reputation, Gugu's gonna be helpful and impactful in changing this reputation so that they can be known for more human rights cases. They can be known for doing good things in the community as well. So this was a good strategy on Gatsha's behalf to hire Gugu. So Gugu decides, you know what, since she doesn't want to give me the samples and the research, I'm just gonna go ahead and do research for myself. James finds this out and actually follows her, and I knew it. Listen, I called it from episode 1. I knew this was gonna happen, that they're gonna get closer together, because why is James interfering in this case? What does it have to do with him? Why is he asking about Gugu's whereabouts? Why is he following her down there? He actually arrives and they're collecting samples, and he's like, you know, we actually have people who do this, right? We have a lab, we have people who can come and collect these samples and test them and do everything. You don't have to come here, we have the resources. As he's helping her out of the river, they fall. He's dirty, she's dirty, he has to go to court, and he's like, how am I gonna go to court when I'm like this? She's like, well, my house is not too far from here, and I'm sure you have an extra suit in your boots, so you can come and shower at my house. Back to Thabo. So Gugu is at the house. Thabo shows up and is like, look man, we have to help Dintle. I had to do something. She's scared, she's alone, she doesn't have anybody, and we need to help her, and we need to pay Double D. And it's like, do you know what Double D stands for? Dangerous Doomy. And Gugu's like, we could have gotten a protection order, we could have done something. I'm a lawyer, I work at a law firm. We could have done something to help her out without taking on her debt. Thabo's like, this is not Santon. The world is not so black and white. Like, this is a loan shark. He will kill us if we take him to court. and they start arguing. He's like, well, I saved your career. Everything that I've done, all my sacrifices are the reason why you are where you are, and you can't talk to me like I'm an idiot. Well, in this case, he's not an idiot, but he is making idiotic choices, because you cannot take on somebody else's debt without a plan of paying the debt to a dangerous loan shark. And while they're arguing, like I said, James was there showering, and he comes out of the bathroom, and Thabo is furious. He's like, oh, so you're talking about you're busy with work, but you're busy sleeping with this man because he's better than me, blah blah blah. And I'm like, Thabo, you're not about to speak to my girl like this. You're not about to speak to my girl Gugu like this. I will not allow that. And also, this is starting to show his insecurities as well. And you know what? Oh my word. I do not support infidelity, but at this point in time, I called it from episode 1, and I've been wanting it, because Thabo just keeps on making a case on why I shouldn't support him with the Gugu. Thabo is now jealous, and I knew this was gonna happen at some point. I just didn't think it would happen like this. Gugu and James's chemistry hasn't developed to a point where they actually want to get together or want to be with each other, so I'm not so sure that I'm supporting this ship as of yet. But if it happens, oh, I will be there. So Gugu's like, listen, I'm gonna go and ask Ayanda for an advance, because she tried applying for a loan, but because she doesn't have a pay slip, she can't apply for a loan. She now has to ask for an advance, and they're like, the only person who can give you an advance, who has to approve it, is Ayanda. But now remember, Ayanda is still mad at Gugu because Gatsha gave Gugu the legacy pains case. So Ayanda doesn't want to give her the advance because of her jealousy and her insecurity. Now back to this legacy pains case. We find out that Gumede actually took this case pro bono just so that he is representing the opposition of GNA. At first I was like, oh man, Gumede is gonna be our arch nemesis, our recurring character. No, he actually has an agenda against GNA, and I want to find out what that is. What started this beef? Was he working with GNA and found out some stuff, or did he want to work at GNA and they didn't hire him? Why does he want to take GNA down so badly? They show up now. They want to settle things out of court. Gugu goes to shake Gumede's hand. He shakes her hand, and then he puts on hand sanitizer straight afterward. That is insane to me. That was such an insane scene. I'm like, are you serious? Oh my gosh, that was the most snobby thing that I've ever seen in my life. And I thought James was a snob. No, Gumede is ridiculous. It's either that or he's just arrogant. So they offer them a 15,000 rand settlement instead of a bigger settlement, even though he's done irreparable damage and kids are in hospital. Some kids are dying, and you just want to give them 15,000 rand just because they live in the slums. And these people actually were considering taking it, but Gugu and them are like, no. And this Lebone guy, who's the owner of Legacy Paints, he's angry. He's like, you guys are entitled. I'm not gonna give you my money. We're not doing this. And he's like, I'm gonna take care of this. And Gumede is like, if you do anything stupid, I will be dropping this case. And I'm like, at least it's good to know that Gumede actually has morals. But Lebone doesn't take him seriously and actually sends a goon to go and threaten Gugu and shoot her. And he's like, settle, otherwise you're gonna die, and then shoots at her. The scene cut, and I'm thinking, okay, a gunshot went off. Is Gugu hurt? But she managed to duck on time. They chase her, and James shows up. This is the perfect script. Is this not the perfect script? Gugu is in trouble. Here comes James as a knight in shining armor to save her. She's scared. And also, James was supposed to be going out for drinks with Ayanda, but now he's like, come on, let me take you home. He's comforting her. So he's ditching Ayanda for Gugu. She's gonna be even more angry, of which she was. So the following day now, after this incident, Gugu's about to leave the house to go to work, and there's this person sitting in her kitchen, Mabaso. He shows up to threaten her and Thabo without doing it, obviously, because the grandfather's there. And I'm gonna need the grandfather to stop being so friendly with people, because why are you just letting any and everybody in? Mabaso comes and is like, yeah, things are dangerous out here and all of this stuff, threatening them, telling them, you know what, I'm here because my friend Double D sent me and he wants to collect his package. So now the pressure is more on Gugu to get this advance. She goes to Ayanda. Ayanda doesn't want to give her this advance. She's like, if I give you an advance, then everybody else is going to want an advance, and this is going to become a habit. Just wait until payday. Whatever you need to do, wait until payday. Now they track the number plate of the goon who was sent to kill Ayanda back to one of Lebone's trucks, and now they have this damning evidence against him, and they want 6 million rands in settlement. And he decides, you know what, I will pay the 6 million rand because he's forced into a corner, he's backed into a corner, but he's not going to take accountability. So this will never come out that I sent goons after you or that I was doing things to the community. I'm going to settle and I'm going to help them build their communities, take them to the hospital, and I'm just gonna carry on with my business. And I really do hope that they didn't do this. And Gumede was actually disappointed. I think Gumede might have had a case against them, but after what Lebone did, where he went and threatened Gugu, I think that threw a spanner in the works. He was quite upset to lose to Gugu of all people, because Gugu's fresh, she's new, she hasn't been a lawyer that long, so for him it's like an even bigger L. It's different losing to James or Ayanda or Trevor, but to lose to Gugu, that was a major L for him. And also the way he was acting, arrogant, pompous, I think it brought him down a peg. Gugu's still wanting an advance. Ayanda won't give her an advance, so she actually goes to Gatsha and she's like, I asked for an advance from Ayanda and she couldn't give me the advance. Please, can you do it for me and make an exception this once? Gatsha's not having it. He's like, well, my daughter said no, and that means no. Gugu keeps begging because, I mean, the Mashonisa wants to kill them. The loan shark actually wants to hurt them now and might hurt the grandfather. So she has to get this money some way, somehow. And she's like, please. And he's like, no. And it's like, Miss Mabaso, you are bordering on insubordination. My daughter said no. And she's like, even me, I'm your daughter. And then the episode ended. Like, there's so many things that are going on in the show already. And now Gugu's gonna come with this bomb of, even me, I'm your daughter. Does she mean it metaphorically, or does she actually mean that, yes, I am your daughter? Because as soon as she said that, I looked at them side by side and I was like, they actually are starting to look alike to me. Now that I see them side by side, they actually look alike, which is crazy. Which is crazy to me, because I'm like, what is going on? We still have to find out, what did Dineo, Thabo and Gugu get into years ago? What is going on now with the Gumede family and the brother in Sweden and all of this? What is going on in the show? But yeah, guys, that is Law, Love and Betrayal season 1 episode 5. I really do hope that you guys enjoyed this video. Please do make sure you like this video, share it, comment down below. It really does help with the algorithm. And I will see you guys in the next one.